What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our goal is to help you get better as a leader. On today's show, we have Ashley Allison joining us. She is a TPE coach here, where she helps other leaders find their purpose and their why. She is also the executive director here for the Chick-fil-A's that we work together at. So she is amazing at what she does. And I've really been looking forward to this conversation. It's long overdue. So let's go ahead and enjoy the episode. What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our aim and goal is to help leaders get better each and every day. We have another special guest on the show today. And I guess I'll backtrack a little bit and just talk about what my job role or job description is a little bit. One of my key functions, and when we talk about Chick-fil-A, we talk about some of their core values, and one of their core values is we always pursue what's next. And one of my functions is to try to pursue what's next from an operations and system standpoint, but also from a people standpoint. So I don't know if she remembers this or not, but like I would say maybe 4 years ago, I approached this young lady, and she was working nighttime at our College Street location. And I said, have you ever thought about being in leadership? One of my, I guess, skill sets is try to see the potential in individuals and help them realize what their potential is. And luckily for us, she said yes. She was willing to be a part of our leadership team. We put her on some very challenging projects. She was able to excel in those projects. She now currently serves as one of our top leaders in our organization. And she's also a coach here at TPE. I am talking about none other than Ashley Allison. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Finally made it to the recording side of things. So we're here.
For sure. I don't know why she's nervous, or not necessarily nervous today, but like, I think she asked me for questions, and I already had some questions put together, and it was like from 2023. So we've been supposed to get this done, but nevertheless, here we are. Everything works out in its own time. So Ashley, if you would tell the audience a little bit about yourself and kind of, what makes you tick, where you come from, what's your stick?
So I'm Ashley Allison. I'm a wife to my high school sweetheart. We make 5 years tomorrow. Roderick, who's been on the podcast before, and I guess he's going through the leadership development interview process right now. I'm a mom to, we have a 2-year-old daughter named Zoe, and then I also work at Chick-fil-A. I think was like 7.5 years I've been with Chick-fil-A, and then about 18 months with TPE as like a leadership coach with that. But I guess what makes me tick, I guess I love getting like chaos thrown at me and like organizing it and, making it happen, flow from that. I think a lot of my day-to-day job at Chick-fil-A is like Alex will come up with crazy ideas and my job is to try to get that implemented, and the team rally behind it, and making sure that no, pieces are dropped along the way with that. And then at TPE, I guess I love like the organization side of things, like, scheduling events and things like that. But also too, I think just like reaching out and helping people grow. I think I am the like youngest, me and Neff are on the younger side of like the leadership coach. So I think that brings us the opportunity to relate to the younger leaders within the restaurant, or even leaders who work outside the restaurant, just to see like what our generation is struggling with, and like how can we help them move past the struggles that we went through faster with that. So I guess that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, no, and I will say I think you do a fantastic job especially from an administrative standpoint. I think a lot of times I probably bring some level of frustration to you because, 1 week the focus might be on drive-through efficiency, the next week's on delivery, and then the next week we're trying to increase profitability, in which we're always trying to keep all those plates spinning all at the same time. But you do a really good job of connecting what we're thinking thinking about at a high level, and then bridging the gap, like you said, like, you do represent a younger end of the spectrum where our team is mostly comprised of younger people. So you play a huge role in helping us get that done. And then, everything you do with TPE, literally we're in meetings and we set a meeting date, and then the next second we have the invites on our calendars. And some of that stuff might seem like it's small or insignificant if you're listening to that, but like that swift to action functionality really helps keep everything in motion. It's particularly when you're doing a lot of different things. We got a lot of different plates spinning and juggling. So no, I appreciate the job that you do there for sure. And so I guess we would just kind of jump into our interview a little bit. And I guess the first question I have for you is, how has being a leader at Chick-fil-A for the last 5 or 6 years, how do you feel like that shaped your leadership?
I think it has definitely made a huge impact on my life. I guess my backstory, I did not expect to like work at Chick-fil-A. I actually was dropping off a friend to like an open interview, and I was like, shoot, I'm going to just sign up. Let's see what happens. I didn't even tell my parents. And then Anthony called the next day and was like, hey, we would like to offer you the job. And I was like, Mom, can I work at Chick-fil-A? And she was like, what? And like, sure. But I think I just started my senior, my spring semester, my senior year, just working at Chick-fil-A throughout the summer. And I never would have ever guessed how far Chick-fil-A would have taken my career and just leadership journey of like meeting new people and developing people. Like you said earlier, I still remember that day. Like I'm back in drive-thru, and then Alex like, hey, have you thought about leadership? And I guess backstory, I was a part of like a church plant, had leadership experience within the church, several different roles, doing everything from children's church to media to social media. To I guess like more like production and organization of like church service, things like that. But I guess I never believed in myself that I could take those skills and help lead a shift at the restaurant with that. But I guess just that actually made me want to go into business, and then I studied business at Lamar. Graduated in 2020 with my bachelor's in business management, and that all was from Chick-fil-A, because I guess I never was exposed to the business aspect of life until Chick-fil-A. And then also too, I think just learning how you can have an impact of people around you. I tell all our shift leaders now, like, hey, when I was a shift leader, there was only 3 of us. So it's like you had to learn how to get to know your fellow leaders and your strengths, your weaknesses, and how to bounce off of that to make the best team and benefit everybody on shift with that. And then just learning, like, hey, the stronger you are in your strengths, like, you are able to impact others around you and push them and allow themselves to believe in them, and then, like, push them to help their career within Chick-fil-A with that.
Yeah, and I think, I guess one of the interesting things to me is, like, what we do when you boil it down to the simplest form is like fast food, right?
Yeah.
That, like, the majority of people who are not in our world, they see it, y'all just fast food workers, but they don't realize you just said you have your bachelor's degree, you were exposed to the business side of things by working here. You mentioned Anthony. Anthony has his bachelor's degree, and it's like, what we do is much more than what meets the eye on the surface.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people think Chick-fil-A, we're fast, we're accurate, but I think they don't know, like, specifically our locations, we have over 250 people on our roster. So it's like you're in charge of fostering, developing, pushing 250 people and making sure that they feel cared for. And then, too, I always tell you all the time, like, hey, I had more hands-on experience, being a leader, shift leader at that time within Chick-fil-A than I did, going through those business classes at Lamar. I think just because even now, once you graduate, they want the degree plus the business experience. So I think Chick-fil-A did offer that for me at a more rapid pace than if I were to do an internship, because I think we're lucky to work for an operator who gives us the autonomy to try to come up with new things, and then if it doesn't work, let's tweak it, make changes until we get that the results that we want.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm very appreciative of Robert. If you guys don't know by now, Robert Hinkle is our operator, and for a very long time, he has trusted us with his business, and he's allowed us to create some amazing results and achieve some amazing things within the realm of business. So, shifting gears here a little bit. So, you mentioned earlier that you are a wife, you're a mother, right, and you're a high functioning professional. Now, I'm a father. I do have children, but I respect highly the role of a mother, like in terms of like the responsibility that you have with your children, the responsibility that you have to your spouse, and then the responsibility you have to Chick-fil-A. How do you keep all that together? Like how do you manage to keep all those plates aligned?
Yeah, I think the first thing, and I was still like, I go through my seasons where I think it's like constant from all the moms that I try to, go to for advice. Is like it's never going to be balanced. Like that's not, everything isn't going to be even all the time. Like that's impossible. But learning like, hey, during this season, what works best for you? I think from even going from like, from stages of like just having a baby to learning how to, balance breastfeeding and working, and then balancing the toddler stages right now, many sleepless nights, like all of that season change. And I'm very, even now I still call myself this, I'm very organized. And like Alex like, hey, I want everything to be organized. This is what we're going to do. After this, we're going to do this and this and this and this. And then like that's the one thing that having a child has taught me, and has made me even a better leader is like that is not how life is, right? Even when you look at a simple shift on at work, it's like you can have 3 call outs, and that can, it could ruin your day, or you can take it like, okay, I'm going to get through this. We're going to move the chart around. We got this, right? And so I think having those hiccups more frequently with, raising kids has taught me like, hey, like you can get through this. It's just like you need to know like life isn't going to be all organized, like a straight line. We can try to plan our life out, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to go that way, right?
Right.
But I think realizing that it's not going to be perfect. I think realizing that what works best for you, developing a routine. We used to laugh about it, but like Alex wakes up early, and like what most people think is early is like 6, but sometimes you're up like 3, 4 o'clock. But I think that like especially before I had kids, pushing me to wake up earlier just so you can get more things done. Waking up earlier, but even more now as a mom, it's like if you wake up 15 minutes before your child wakes up, like you're gonna be rushed to like get out the house and frustrated, and you can bring that frustration to work if you don't give yourself ample amount of time to get up. So I think just that habit of getting up early so you can get things done, auxiliary work knocked out, your day planned if you didn't get the opportunity to plan before, clean up, simple things like that. I think another thing, I guess more on the wife side thing, is like making sure like you get those date nights in, that one-on-one time, even like, before you go to bed, like, hey, how was your day? Making sure like you take the initiative to make that happen. Just because my husband does work at Chick-fil-A, and we can talk about Chick-fil-A all the time, if we wanted to, but just I think making time just to, check in on each other with that. And I guess the last thing is asking for help. I think both of our families help a lot when needed with our daughter, Zoe, if we need to stay late or go in early, or watching her for date night. So I think just those things like right there help me be better balancing and everything. And I think just even at work, I think there are seasons in our career, just recently, like I had to be out for a couple weeks, and you picked up that slack for me, or vice versa. Like if you have a busy season, like I'm able to push, more stuff out. I think just find that balance, and then admitting like, hey, I can't do everything 100% in all lanes all the time, because that will lead to burnout.
Definitely, and I that are definitely the one piece that you said that resonates with me the most is just waking up early. Even if waking up early just to, for me, sometimes, like, I don't want to give the impression, like, every day I wake up, I'm on 10 at 4 o'clock. But even the mornings, I do get up and I don't do nothing. But if I get on YouTube and watch one of my favorite shows or do something, like at least I'm up. I think that's the main thing. Like people who, and this is no knock. Don't take this as a knock to anybody who wake up like 10 to 15 minutes before they're supposed to get somewhere. But to Ashley's point, though, like if I'm supposed to be at work at 7 or 8 o'clock and I wake up at 4, I've been up for 3 hours. Like I'm fully awake. Yeah. I'm fully engaged. Like my mind is there. Like when I get to work or get to wherever I'm supposed to be, like I'm already active. So like, you kind of get the best version of me versus I see people coming into work. You could tell they just woke up and it's just taking them 30 minutes or an hour to get get to their best self. And so, that's just one of the things that I kind of hold dear to. Here lately, though, I've been kind of waking up at 5 or 6. I don't know what's going on with me internally, but we're gonna work through that. We're gonna work through that because I like getting up at 4 because the lane is clear. Yeah. It's completely clear. I'm the only one that's there at 4 o'clock. Everybody else is asleep.
And I think, just as you grow in your organizations, you get smaller moments with all the individuals because your pyramid grows. Like, you have more people to watch. And so, just making sure, you're fully available, fully awake, fully there when you have those, those couple minutes to meet with that new hire that you never met before. And I think especially since we go between stores, it's like, oh, this is a new face. I need to make time to get to know this person and make sure that they know who I am, just in case they ever need anything, to make sure that they know we're there for them.
And plus, too, not to just belabor the waking up early thing too much, but it's like when you get that computer work out the way, the ancillary work, you're not spending the valuable FaceTime that you have with people away from them because you got to go do computer work. Leveraging that time to get the paperwork done, get the emails drafted or whatever. Then when you're actually at work, you can spend time with the people. Yeah. You're not as distracted with those other pieces. So I think that's very important. Okay, so you've been a leader for now, 5 years, 6 years ish? 7? Okay, well.
The years fly by.
Oh yeah, they do, and I always mess this up. Every time, this is on record. Every time I get somebody that we work with, I'm always off on the time. But what are some of the common challenges that you see from the people that you serve currently in your leadership?
I think especially I guess the last, I would say maybe 18 to 12 months that we have, new shift leaders go through development. I think it's definitely that confidence piece that they don't believe in themselves. And I do feel the increased usage of social media, it's you're always comparing your worst to everyone's best. That has truly impacted people's self-confidence. And so a lot of more of hey, have you ever thought about being in leadership? And used to, we could do that maybe one conversation and they'll get that confidence, run with it. But I think now it's we have to provide that constant feedback of hey, you can do this. You have the strengths, you have the ability. As long as you keep pushing through, keep taking the initiative, you can do this. So that constant feedback with them. And I think just just encouragement along the way. I think that has been a huge hurdle that we have seen with younger, leaders nowadays, is that confidence piece.
Well, and I think some of the bittersweet elements of our organization is the fact that we've got some people who have been around for a long time, and I think that works in our favor in one regard. You got some people who are experienced, you got some people who know what they're doing, you got some folks that's just been around the block a few times, so they know what to do. But I also think, to your point, that's a hindrance sometimes, because I think those younger leaders get intimidated because there are people who really know what's supposed to happen, and then along with social media, they're comparing themselves to those individuals. Yeah. And it's it took me 20 years to have this level of skill. Plus, we were doing half. We were doing 25% of what we're doing volume-wise when I first came into leadership, and just the complexity of the business is a little, is the sales channels. We just had drive-through and front counter. Now there's, anytime a guest wants it, they can just pick up their phone and order. And so I can understand where those challenges are, but I think we do a good job of, one, recognizing what those challenges are and then trying to meet them where they're at. I heard something recently. We just talked about this the other day. On a previous episode, the gentleman said, Dr. Adolph said, you got to fish on the fish's terms. And I think we do a good job of trying to fish on the fish's terms. Yeah, and so, definitely. Yeah.
I think just too, we're so used to, you mentioned delivery, that made me think of hey, if I want something now, I can order it on Amazon. I can order Chick-fil-A delivery. I can, get it now. And I think a lot of leaders don't understand it's going to take time. You can't learn how to manage a $18,000 lunch overnight. This going to take time. Just keep asking questions, keep pushing through, and you can do it.
Definitely. how do you think we can elevate the landscape of leadership for the next generation? Like, how do you think, like, in what ways, and this is, I think this is a conversation we literally have been having here lately, but how do we continue to, I guess, refresh how we go about leadership development for the next generation?
I think more. I guess when you asked me this question, I was thinking more like, I guess with the TPE side of things, I think just getting exposure to the next generation as soon as possible. I think like I was lucky enough to have that leadership experience, like starting in like ninth grade, taking leadership roles within the church. But like, how much better of a leader would I have been if that happened in middle school, if that happened in elementary? And I think there's things like I was a part of student council, and those leadership roles is more based off popularity. Like you vote, and whoever has the most votes wins. But it's like not much leading, right? And I think leading is more than just to say like, hey, I'm the president. You know, like how does the average student lead within their classroom? I think that exposure will definitely help propel the next generation further. And I think just too, like if you're able to reach that generation, it's like if we can have great leaders, not only within Chick-fil-A's, within the hospitals, within the political system, like everywhere, it's like how much better would our cities and country be if we had better leaders there. And I think so, just like reaching that younger generation. I think within Chick-fil-A's, I think just even during the orientation, like exposing them to the opportunities of, what could their possibilities be like with Chick-fil-A from day one, right? I think most people think of Chick-fil-A, oh, it's just fast food restaurant. I'm only going to be here for a little bit. It's not going to be my future, right? And I think just making sure that they know, like, hey, it's more than just fast food. Like, this can be a career for you if you want it. And these are the opportunities that we have available for that.
Yeah, and I guess, just to add to that, something that you bring up and bring to my attention often, I think that people want to work somewhere where they feel like there's purpose and there's value. And I think the more we can help people, you just said it on the tail end of your answer, like the more we can help people understand the purpose beyond the transaction. Because a lot of people get focused on, I got to take these orders, I got to bag this food, I got to make these drinks. That is just the hook to be able to serve a greater purpose for what we do organizationally. So, fantastic answer. I guess this would be the last question here, and you've done a great job. I don't understand why this took so long to happen, but I understand everybody do it in their own time. If you can change anything about the beginning of your leadership journey, what would it be?
I think it would be more so like, I guess, knowing what my strengths were earlier, so I can lean into them more. I guess like we do the working genius thing, and one of my strong suits is like enablement and tenacity. So like I love getting things done, and so like I think just recognizing that sooner would help me realize, okay, like how could that bring benefit to whatever organization I'm working with, just so like you can propel further sooner with that. That, and then I feel like I ask a lot of questions, but I feel like you never can ask enough questions, right? And I think sometimes, like, I guess from movies you see it, like people get made fun of for asking questions, but like I feel like the people who ask the most questions in like a learning environment, those are the people who are at the top of the table, just because they're trying to learn how to do it better, faster for next time, right? And so I would say, like, everybody, like, don't be afraid to ask questions, like, just because like that's gonna help your future self, right? I think we talk a lot of like, hey, how can I help like future Ashley be more successful? I think like asking those questions earlier in the process, so like you can learn faster. And like I'll say, like, of course I don't want to ask the same question a million times, but it's like learn from the questions you're asking, just so like you can help yourself be more successful overall.
Fantastic. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation today, Ashley. I appreciate you coming. I know you've had a lot of things going on over the past few weeks, but I appreciate you still honoring your commitment to come and talk to the people here at TPE. TPE Family, this conversation is a testament to, I think, really leaning into your strengths and leaning into what you can be. And no matter where you are in life, whether that's working at a fast food restaurant or working at a retail space or whatever you do, if you aim to do it at your very best, you never know what the outcomes can be. And I think Ashley is a product of that. I think I'm a product of that. Just kind of taking your God-given abilities and being able to use those for a greater purpose, no matter where your feet land. I think you can't help but to generate good results. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ashley. Do you have any parting words? Where can they find you? Where can they connect with you at?
I guess you can find me. Instagram is like Ashley K Allison. And then of course, like if you join our Leader Square, we make posts there, leadership development. I think just my last any thought is like you said it, but I think just like doing your best no matter where you at. Like if you're a frontline worker in your 30-day probationary period, like be your best. Like that's gonna bring the attention of higher leadership to you, just because like if you take full responsibility and giving your best at the small things, like they're going to give you more. Especially like if you're asking questions, you're taking initiative, you're waking up early so you can get to work early. Like all those things are going to point directly to you and all your abilities. So that would be my final words. But thank you, Alex, for all you do. You're a great leader, great boss. Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, no, appreciate that, Ashley. And until next time, TPE family, peace.
Tap into the Pivot Experience, where we help young, hungry entrepreneurs move on to the next step.